Hello, everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. Good morning. Welcome back to the TIP Annual Conference. It has been amazing. It has been amazing. Back-to-back value from blessed speakers that Coach Wendy has made available. I want to welcome you on behalf of Coach Wendy. I want to welcome you on behalf of all the coaches and the speakers who will be speaking today. So, guess what? We have been talking about the Inner Circle program, and you have still not registered. We have been saying there is something, a movement that is happening, and you need to jump on that train. Whatever you have seen is just a tip of the iceberg. Remember, I talked about accountability the last time. It is easy to hear, but doing is a problem. Just like Mrs. Onwuka said, Coach Onwuka, she said that we should not have knowledge constipation. When you join the Inner Circle program, it will help you put all that you have heard to practice. You know, there are some things that might be difficult, or you might start and you are not consistent. You will be able to put everything into practice, and you will see the outcome in yourself, in your family, in the children. I want us to quickly listen to a parent who is in the Inner Circle program and listen to what they have to say concerning what the Inner Circle program has done and has changed their lives. It is important that you listen and believe. Please, before they finish sharing that testimonial, register. Register. No more procrastination. Let us listen.
Good morning, Coach Wendy. Good morning, Yadas. Good morning, everybody. My name is Omole Jesumuiwa Ashonibare, and I would like to talk briefly on my experiences in the Inner Circle. First things first, I'm very grateful for the privilege of being a member or a Yada. Yes, I'm very grateful for the privilege of being a Yada. It's been a fantastic one. It's been an amazing one because a lot of things that I used to struggle with, I no longer struggle with them. For instance, I used to be a chronic yellower, and I'm a lot better now. I'm not totally there yet, but it's getting better. There are times in fact, these days my daughter no longer expects me to shout because she knows mommy doesn't shout anymore. So even when I'm almost at it, she just goes no, and I get the point. So I'm grateful for that. It's been a fantastic one also because my husband, who didn't buy into the whole idea of someone teaching you how to train your children, is now getting better. He actually attended the Fathers Conference, and that's a big one for me. And then I would like to talk about the lessons that I've learned. The very first lesson I learned was that parenting is all about me. Parenting is all about me because I can only impact my child with what I have. If I'm a bitter person, if I'm an angry person, if I have a lot of things that I have not dealt with as a child growing into an adult, I'm only going to replicate. Parenting basically is replicating yourself in your child. And I don't want to replicate a bitter, angry person, or I didn't want to replicate myself in my child. So I knew that there was a need for me to do it differently from what I had. And that is what I'm doing. I'm a teacher, so that's the bell going. And so hence the need for me to enroll in the Inner Circle. And then the third lesson that I learned is that I must be able to I must be emotionally stable for me to produce emotionally stable children. Emotional stability has a lot to do with self-esteem. So for my child to have a healthy self-esteem, I must be emotionally stable for me to imbibe that in her. So a lot of other lessons, but for want of time, thank you very much, Coach Wendy. Thank you very much to the Intentional Parents Academy, and thank you very much for the privilege of being a member of the Inner Circle. I do not take this for granted, and I appreciate this greatly. Thank you so much for this.
Wow. Do you know that just listening to that testimony, my heart is gladdened. Dear parents, what are you waiting for? Did you hear her? She said that which she used to struggle with, she has stopped. Don't you want to come and listen and glean from an amazing coach and other coaches in the Inner Circle program? Please register. You don't want to be a yada. I'm already a yard and I'm not waiting for you. But I would love to see each and every one of you. God bless you as you register. You know, there's something that Coach Wendy has done so amazingly well. She's touched every aspect of parenting. The only thank you can give her, go and register, and you too testify. When she sees the fruits and she sees the results, it will be worth her time. At least you pat her on the back and say, well done. It's not for us to just listen and say, yes, no, good, fire, this. Register so that you can be accountable. And then you would see the amazing benefits. You've listened to several people testify. There are differences when they register. Going into today's program, we're looking at the essential skills that every teenager should have. You know, that's why I say she's just amazing. She's touched toddlers, she's taught every aspect. The teenage years, trust me, if you have children who are approaching the teen years, hold your ears very well. If you already have teenagers like I do, don't worry, we can console each other and listen and know what to do better. There are skills that, you're preparing your child for the future. And it is very important that when you let that child go, you are confident that that child is fully equipped to face the world. The world is cruel. The world is not kind. So it is important that our children are fully equipped. And we have no other person than Mr. Chidozie Eze. An amazing person. Let us just listen to his profile. Then you will know why he has to be the one to take this session.
Chidozie Eze is a trained personal development coach for teenagers and young people. He is an entrepreneur with experience in human resource, logistics, and supply chain management. Chidozie is a public speaker, trainer, and writer. He is the author of Game Plan, a life plan workbook for young people, my book of affirmations, and 3 other ebooks on personal development. He is a graduate of electrical and electronics engineering and certified safety professional. He has also received advanced leadership certifications from several institutions and a leadership award from the Akwa Ibom State Government for his contributions to the Millennium Development Goals Advocacy Project in the state. For over 10 years, Chidozie has had experience in the non-profit sector with a focus on youth development, communications, and strategic leadership. He is the founder of Teen Success Academy, a coaching outfit equipping young people with tools for personal discovery, confidence, and success. Chidozie conducts seminars and training for young people, parents, and teachers. He is the host of the 360 Success Bootcamp, a 1-month virtual bootcamp coming up in August with the theme Thrive, training highly resourceful individuals with value and excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome to the 2021 Intentional Parents Conference, Chidozie Eze.
Welcome, Mr. Chidozie. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mr. Chidozie, can you hear me?
Oh, wow.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear
Please
me?
let me know if you can hear me. Are we live already?
Yes, I can hear you, but you can't hear me. Let's check the comment section. Please, if you can hear him so that I know if it's from me or... Please, if you can hear Mr. Chidozie, Coach Chidozie, you can... Now, who can you hear? Can you hear me or can you hear Mr. Chidozie, please? Okay, you can hear both of us, but he can't hear me. That's now the issue. Mr. Chidozie, can you hear me?
Okay, you can hear both of us, but he can't hear me.
Okay. All right. I think I can hear you now.
Okay, amazing. Welcome, Mr. Chidozie. We are so happy to have you on TIP Annual Parent Conference. And we just
Thank you
listened
very
to
much.
Yes, we just listened to your profile, and I was blown away with what you were doing
Thank
for
you.
our young people. I have teenagers, and I tell people, if you think parenting is hard, the teenage years will test your patience. That is when your results will be put. I mean, the whole thing you've known about parenting will be put to
Mm,
test. By the time you have teenagers, you just realize you don't have time anymore. Very soon they'll be leaving the nest, and then you get into panic mode. And that's why I'm so excited that you will be giving us the essential skills, narrowing it down for us so that we are able to concentrate on those essential skills that we need to ensure that we imbibe in our teens before they leave the home. So I'll allow you talk. I think I've spoken too much today. I'll allow you take the stage.
thank you very much. Thank you, Miss Toyin. Thank you for all your kind words. I appreciate them. And thank you, Coach Wendy. Thank you for this platform that you have created. It's been an amazing time. If anybody has been following this conference all the way from the beginning, that was Friday last week. I think we've done this 7 days now. It's been an amazing experience. So I want to say a very big thank you to Coach Wendy. Thank you to all of the amazing TIP team and the TIP family. And hello to all of the Yadas in the house. I see you. I see you. I'm trying to look at also see the comment section, see who and who is there. And big ups again, many thanks and appreciation to all of the speakers that have come on the show before now. I have tried as much as possible to catch up with as many sessions, even going back to see um, the replays. And I will encourage you, like we have been saying all the way to this point, it's not about hearing, it's not about coming to gather knowledge, but success. I always say there are three factors of success, and knowledge is just the least amongst them. The things that you know, if you don't apply them, if you don't do them, then it's going to be waste of time. It's going to be waste of the resources that you have received out of this conference. So do well to go back and see all of the sessions. There are amazing sessions, and I think I'm going to be making reference to some of them and most of them as we go on, because having come this far, you have heard a lot. There is a lot that we have heard. So new knowledge might not be what it is for me tonight. It's about how we can galvanize everything that we have heard and use it to make progress. So welcome, and thank you for having me. My name is Chedozie, like you have heard tonight. I want to be discussing something very dear to my heart. I have titled the skills and the competencies of the 21st century young person. Okay, so yes, essential skills, essential competencies that every young person should have. For starters, let me refer us to something. I'm going to be drawing a few lessons from contemporary history and maybe biblical history. I will be reading the Bible, so let me give you a warning ahead of time. Calm down, all right? Um, if in case you are not of the Christian faith, just relax. This is not anything religious. It's something that you're going to learn, and like I have come to observe that the Bible is more than just a religious text. And even for those that are Christians, you'll be greatly mistaken if you have been reading that book only as a religious text. So you're missing out on a lot of information there, a lot of life lessons that we can pick out of that place. And of course, we're also going to be drawing from contemporary history and see how we can use that to help our young people. All right. So I saw something somewhere in the scriptures, and it says, "Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times." I'll say that again. Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of your times. So, um, like I said, I've been making reference to a few other speakers. I listened to Okolope talking. Which day was that? Maybe on Saturday or Sunday, thereabout. And he made reference a lot to what we have come to know as the teen culture. Okay, the teen culture, the teenage culture. Now it's interesting, very, very interesting to know that all of what we know as teenagers, or the contemporary teenage culture that we have come to experience, is relatively new. Very, very new. I think it's maybe in the middle of the last century, the 20th century, or somewhere thereabouts, where you begin to have that word teenagers, teens, young, and all of that. If you go further back, you will not hear those words. So, for instance, if you look at your religious text or any other historical document, you will not find those words, teenagers. So, how have we progressed as humans over time? How have we progressed as humans over time? I like to think that, when I speak to teenagers, or when I talk about teenagers, I like to say that I am raising gods and I am raising kings, not just anybody, and particularly not peasants, particularly not street kids. Okay, so it's important, because some of the things I'm going to say tonight, um, even if you want to argue with them, go ahead and do that. But it will be your choice to decide whether you're going to raise kings, or you're going to raise the rest of the citizens. You're going to raise gods, or you're going to raise the puppets of this universe. All right. So wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times. Question is, in all of changing culture over time, how is it that whatever faith you believe in or you practice, at least you recognize that there is God somewhere. There is a being, a supreme creature that is responsible for the affairs of this universe. And so, if you don't believe that, you're probably not in my audience. Thank you. Okay, so how is it that over time God has remained stable and has remained constant and has remained consistent, even in the face of changing culture and in the face of changing dispensations? Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times. So I want to draw us into a dimension of wisdom. And like I said, there are three factors of success that I discussed. And I say knowledge is just a list of them. It's about 10% of the success equation is the things that you know. So if you sum up everything that you're going to hear or you have heard out of this conference, it will just make up 10% of what it takes for you to arrive at success. Whether it is with raising your children, raising teenagers, or even applying them to yourself as an individual. The second component of your success is the part of wisdom, and that is the part that asks you to discipline yourself to take action. And not many persons get through that part, the part of discipline, the discipline of action, and that is wisdom. You're not wise if you're not taking action. You're not wise if you're not putting into practice the things that you're hearing and the things that you're learning part time. And then as we go further, we're going to be discussing the third component inside of all of these conversations we're going to have tonight. Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your time. So I read something again that said you are gods and all of you are the children of the Most High, but you will die like men. So how do we raise? Are you raising gods? Are you raising kings? Or are you just raising, some other person, teenagers? The evolution of what I call, or what we have called, the teen culture, like I said, is a very new concept. Maybe 50, 60 years old. So what are the principles? How do we find timeless principles that are going to help you, that are going to help us raise young people, irrespective of the dispensation, irrespective of the generation that they find themselves, that they will become stable individuals, that they will become kingly individuals, that they will become godly individuals, that they will become gods in themselves? And I didn't say gods in a very light sense. I mean it in every sense of the word. How do you raise gods? So back to the Bible. There's a guy, or a number of them. If you read through your scriptures, like I said, you're not going to find in ancient history or any of those texts anywhere they mention teenagers. So you want to know what you're looking out for when you're studying all of those lines. You will see the word young men, and young men. The Bible character called Joseph, for instance, was 17 years old when he started to dream the dreams of all his brothers bowing down at his feet and all of those controversies that surrounded his life, right up to him becoming the prime minister of the nation of Egypt. How does a young man go through all those seasons? And you know, that guy called Joseph eventually not only became prime minister, but became a pharaoh himself. I don't know if you have ever learned that Joseph became pharaoh after serving a pharaoh, and he was pharaoh for a number of years, 40 years thereabout. He was prime minister for another 40 years, so he stayed 80 years in power. How do you create that kind of young man? How do you create that? And we're going to be looking at him and a few other characters in the course of my conversation. So how does God remain stable in the face of changing cultures? How does a God remain stable in the face of changing dispensations, in the face of all of the things that we have seen, social media, and all manner of stuff? There are 5 basic things. If we have the time, we might stretch and get to the number 6 and 7. But the beginning of them, we're going to just focus on 5 and see how much time will allow us to do that. You're going to be helping your young persons. If you're going to be raising a God, if you're going to be raising a king in this generation, you're going to be helping them develop these 5 competencies. So I'll let you catch a sip of water in the next 15 seconds and gather your people or anybody that is supposed to be on this show and let them come on here as we go. So, number 1, intellectual competence. I say that again, intellectual competence. Is your king, is your God an intellectually competent one? Is your teenager an intellectually competent person? I call this intellectual competence, and the first thing you want to think about is, okay, education, how did they read, how did they pass exams, and all of that. But education and academic exercise are actually a part of intellectual competence. It's not the entire thing. So when you say IQ, academic exercise is about knowledge, it's about memory, it's about recalling things. But intellectual competence is more than just an education. They are just a part of, classroom education. I've always said, and I when I say this thing, it sounds a bit somehow, that what we have as education, especially in this part of the world, has majored on raising slaves and not raising kings. We have majored on raising slaves in the past few decades in our education sector. And now that is not to join the other conversation that says education is scam, because that is also on the other extreme. But intellectual competence is more about engaging your thought process, engaging your thinking. So amazingly, we have a system of education that does not encourage young people to think. We have a system of parenting that does not encourage young people to think. Articulation is a skill. Articulation, and when I say articulation, let me the dictionary definition of that word articulation talks about the formation of clear and distinct sounds in speech. That is about language. There's also a definition for it in music, where they talk about clarity in the production of music notes. So articulation is about clarity. Clarity of what? Clarity of thoughts. Are you engaging your young people and enabling them to produce clear thinking? We have university lecturers who tell students, you must answer the question and answer it the same way I gave it to you in class, or else you will fail. So what they are saying is, we have encouraged people to cram something, write it down. As long as you can cram and write down exactly the things that you have crammed, you will succeed. But that is not education. That is not intellectual competence. The ability to cram, copy, and paste something is not intellectual competence. It's the ability to generate ideas. It's the ability to sit down and think through a concept from start to finish and produce your own thoughts out of that. Its ability to convert those thoughts, those thinkings, into effective communication in writing, in speaking. That is intellectual competence. So are your teenagers able to think for themselves? Are they able to come up with ideas by themselves? Are they able to communicate those ideas that they have, whether it's in writing or it's in speaking? I ask you, who wrote the text, the ancient texts, the religious texts, the Bibles, and all of the civilizations that we have come to see? What were they reading before they wrote some of those things? One of the oldest books in your Bible is the book of Job. And sometime I was having a conversation with a group of person. I said, when you read the story of Job and all of the things that happened to him, how he fought different kinds of temptations, and we can kind of make up a lot of reasons why he did the kind of things he did. And I was asking, I said, maybe you were thinking that Job was reading the book of Job when he was doing those things that were written in the book of Job. But some of these guys were out of their ability to put themselves in a place where they can clearly discern. This is both intellectual, it's spiritual, and it is in all other facets of human life. So young people that are going to redeem this nation, because I believe so much that the redemption of Africa and the redemption of the nation of Nigeria is in her young people. Doesn't matter what you think. Let's even leave biblical history or ancient history. Let's come to conventional history, contemporary history, if you like. And I at a point was reading. There's a man, the man who is currently the ruler of Dubai. I think he doubles as the vice president of the United Arab Emirates. That man became the defense minister. He became the defense minister of the UAE at age 19. Think about that for a moment. He became the defense minister of a nation at age 19. Now, hold on. Think of Nigeria. Think about Boko Haram. Think about the herdsmen crisis. Think about the ungovernment of Eastern Nigeria. think about the IPOB. Think about all of the security crises we have in this nation. While you're on that thought, now think about your 19-year-old son. Think about your teenager in your house and picture that guy in the office of the defense minister. Does it make sense to you? If it doesn't, then something is wrong. Are you giving that child, are you empowering your child in a manner that will enable them to take up, responsibility, both at home, in society, and wherever they find themselves? I'm still talking about intellectual competence. There has to be a redesign for the training that we are giving to young people at home and in schools. As you parent, what are you looking out for in your child? But you see, all of the things we have adopted, I listened to Dr. Ben in the opening sessions of this conference and talking about whether we turned out okay. No, we didn't. We didn't. Because nothing in the upbringing, and this is not to, when we say that we didn't turn out okay, it looks as if you're against the previous generations. No, you're not. You must recognize, however, that some people can be innocently wrong, that people can be innocently mistaken. So that the fact that you were wrong is not like saying that everything about that generation was bad, but we have to pin and find out what is it that was wrong in how we were raised so that we can raise a better generation. Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times. How are your young people? Are they able to think for themselves? Are they able to articulate their thoughts? Or everything they are regurgitating is all the things that you have told them, or all the things that another authority figure has told them, and no sense of identity, no sense of consciousness on their inside? Moving on from there, number 2 is emotional competence. And a number of persons have spoken on, made inferences in this direction. Emotional intelligence and all of those stuff there. Emotional competence is one of the skills that make for peace. It's one of the skills that make for your success in life. It's one of the competence that makes for kingship. It's one of the competence that makes for. You see, kings don't throw their emotions around anyhow. Leaders, imagine if if God was as emotionally incompetent as most of us, as parents, as leaders, as people, this world would have turned upside down 1,000 times over. Emotional competence is a measure of an individual's ability to recognize and manage their emotions, the emotions of other people, both individually and in groups. I'll give a typical example. Say you know how to drive. A good driver not only understands how to move his own vehicle, but he must be able to understand how to relate with every other driver on the road if he's going to arrive at his destination. So you're not going to do things again. If you listen to Uncle Ben's session, and then he was talking about how would you react if you were in a situation and somebody cut you off in traffic, and you see all of the things we do around here in Nigeria, and are you raising emotionally competent people? Sometime in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, there was a study that said emotional intelligence was among the top 10, was going to be among the top 10 skills for success and for employability by 2020. By 2019, emotional intelligence became number 4 on the list of what it takes to be successful, both as an individual, as an employee, as a leader, as a corporate executive. Think of it. It is said that emotional intelligence accounts for 67% of the success equation, or what is deemed necessary for superior performance in leadership. It is 2 times more important than academic performance. It is 2 times more important than technical expertise. Emotional intelligence, because that is what makes you a leader. That is what makes you able. So, you know, this thing that we do, and the social media culture has not helped at all. You give it to them hot. You give it to them hot. As they gave it to you, he was the person that said it first. So, I just replied. Emotional intelligence is about character. Emotional intelligence is about character competence. It is what enables a young person to delay gratification, any kind of gratification. It may be food, gratification of, that outburst. You are satisfied. I heard a parent make a statement somewhere on the internet and say, when I hit my child, it helps me to release the anger. Are you serious? Are you serious? Emotionally competent people are able to identify their emotions. Have you taught your children that there's a difference between anger and sadness and disappointment and happiness and joy and excitement? Are they able to process their emotions when they are feeling something? When your child is moody, can you help them process what exactly are you feeling, and then how do you direct that emotion? It will land you in trouble if you don't know how to do it. Emotionally competent people can make sacrifices. They are the ones that will stay back and allow other persons have their way. They are able to empathize with people. So we have the generation of leaders that don't care about what other people feel. You just take a decision and you go there. They're able to give and accept compliments. Is an emotionally whole person that can take compliment and accept it and not be shaken by it. But you have this group of young people that feel rejected because nobody complimented them, or then they fall for any kind of compliment. There's such a thing as flattery. Kings don't fall for flattery, but emotionally incompetent people fall for flattery. Emotionally competent people are able to deal with procrastination. I don't know if you heard that before. So part of your procrastination problem is your emotional unintelligence. Respecting and appreciating the feelings of other people is part of emotional competence. I'm bidding my time now. So they understand command and control. They understand influence. You see, the guy who is calm in a situation is the one who is most influential. He's not the person running up and down. And that's why your children can influence you. They know when you will react and when you will not react. They know, they have your mumu button. They know where to drag you. And then you flare up. And so it's like that. So when people want to get on your nerves, when they want you to do what they want you to do, they make you do it because they have the key to your emotional states. They can make you, feel anything. But emotionally competent people are stable. They are stable. They are very, very stable. You know, you can be ranting. You want to get under their skin. No, you can't get under the skin of an emotionally competent young person. You know, so let's move on from there. Be slow to speak. Be quick to listen. It's emotional competence. Calm down. You don't have to say everything. Number 3 is social competence, closely related to emotional competence, is social competence. Are your kids socially competent? Are your teenagers socially competent? There are a few very misunderstood, misconstrued, highly abused words in English. Two of them are just mentioned. Number 1 is friend. Number 2 is love. Teach your teenagers, teach your young people that everybody is not their friend. what do you call it? 5,000 friends on Facebook. They are not your friends. 25 million followers on Instagram. They are not your friends. Explain the meaning of friend. There is neighbor, there is colleague, there is acquaintance, there is sibling, brothers and sisters. They are very different from who your friend is. A friend is born for the day of adversity. So that's why they get pissed off. They don't know what to do when you reach a place where the people who you thought were clapping for you, you look behind you, they are no longer there because you thought they were your friends. No, they were not your friends. There's a difference between explain fans. There's a difference between fans and friends. But social media culture has corrupted all of these things and meshed them into one. And young people are suffering for it. Stable people are socially intelligent people. There is such a thing as social capital. Before you talk about finances, teach your kids that relationships are social capital. How do you build social capital? Social competence is also about managing distractions. And now this is a big one in the 21st century, helping young people to manage distractions. You know, we are addicted to notifications. Your phone beeps, flip, flip, you check. Something else happened. Calm down, sit down in one place and focus on a goal, a task, and accomplish it. Socially competent people. They have not every invitation bell that you answer. Socially competent people. Social competence is about managing distraction. And distractions that diverse, avoiding drama. Help your young people learn to avoid complexities in their life. You know, have you seen those people that brag about how many times they have been to police stations and, you know, you don't know me or you don't know me? I tell your young people to get away from those kind of friends. Socially competent people don't brag about nonsense, and you might even hear it on the pulpit. I heard someone preaching, and then he starts talking about, you know, his exploits when he was a bad guy. And why are you bragging about evil? Why are you bragging about nonsense? You see how your life has turned out. Socially competent people know the things to talk about and what not to talk about. Keep your mouth shut. Socially competent people understand that quality is more important than quantity when it comes to friendship. Understand social media. It's part of social competence. The World Wide Web. When I talk about the World Wide Web, you know, I like you to picture a web, a spider web, a physical spider web. There is in every web, there are two groups of people. There are those that spin the web and those that the web catches in it. Those that are caught in the web and those that are actually spinning the web. So the spiders are spinning the web, and the house flies, the termites, and all of them are getting caught in the web. Where will your child belong? Is your child spinning a web, or is he being caught by some other person's web? Social competence. Control your tongue. Control your tongue. I said it before when I was talking about emotional intelligence. Slow to speak and quick to listen. There's a story I like to reference. It's also in the Bible. If you read, I think it's First or Second Samuel. No, it can't be First. It's the book of Second Samuel. Saul had died, and King David, not yet king at the time, of course, he was running away from this other king, Saul, and they were supposed to be, you know, arch enemies. And Saul had just died, and this guy is running from the mountaintops and coming down to where David and his men were, and he said, "I've come. I bring you good news. Saul is dead, and all of those stories. If you read it for yourself, you find. And then David asked him a question: how did you know that Saul died? He said, "Oh, my Lord, I killed him. He fell, but he didn't want to. Soldiers do that a lot. He didn't want the enemies to kill him. He wanted to die by a friendly fire and all of those kind of stuff. And then he asked me to kill him, and I killed him. And I brought his crown to you. I brought his staff to you." And David looked at his men and said, "Fall upon this guy and kill him." They killed him there, and he made a very striking statement, which was my attraction to the story. He says, "Tell it not in Gath, publish it not on the streets of Ashkelon, lest a group of people hear this thing." The streets of Ashkelon in 21st century is social media, Facebook and Instagram. Those are the streets of Ashkelon. Tell it not in Gath and publish certain things not on those streets. Teach your children to be socially competent. Sometime in the course of this conference, I was talking to Wendy and I said, I actually spoke to him. I said, "How did you find all of these people that you have gathered to come and speak at this conference?" And she keeps making reference to something. She calls it the gift of men. Does your children understand the gift of men? I talked about social capital. That social capital is more important. I say it this way: who you know is more important than what you know. I've mentioned intellectual competence, and I'm not downplaying academics, but I would rather know 5 Wendiologies than get 5 more coaching certifications. Who you know is more important than what you know. Teach your children to be socially competent. It's not every quarrel you carry to social media. Now, people quarrel, people get misunderstandings and all of those kind of stuff. But how do you build bridges? There is a book I will reference. It's I think it was written by one of the former national security advisors in the US. Is Colin Powell. That's his name. The book is titled "It Worked for Me: Lessons in Life and Leadership." Yes, it worked for me. And he was talking about how, this other military general from another country, they quarreled at some point, but he was supposed to flare up and he did not. And some other time, the same person, he was a military leader in France at the time when he was security advisor, I think under George Bush or something like that. And later on, he needed that same person as an ally. And he remembered that if he had not correctly handled the misunderstanding they had before that time, he would have made a mess of that situation. But you two fighting on the streets, your children will post it on social media. Those are the habits of street people. Those are the habits of slaves. Kings fight differently. Kings quarrel differently. You have seen it in politics. You have seen how your political leaders cause the rest of the people to quarrel on the streets and kill themselves, and at the other day they are having dinner. Kings think differently. Kings cry differently. They broke your daughter's heart, and that's why she's everywhere on social media pouring out her emotions. Have you taught her that those are not how to go in the 21st century? That those are not the way of kings. There are ways of kings. There are ways of gods. You think God doesn't have emotional issues from time to time? He regretted that he made man at some point. So social competence is about how you deal with all of these complexities of the 21st century social structure. How do you even build social competence? Travel. Help your young persons to travel. Exposure. Go to places. I do this when I interact with some of my young people, especially those of them that are maybe in the not so urban areas. I like to bring them out to come and see something. You don't have to afford it. Just go somewhere. Go and see how kings behave. It's sacrificial anyways. Go to and see if you have never been there. Travel, get outside of this country. If all of the things you know is about Nigeria and Africa, your exposure is still very limited. Get outside of this place. Social competence. Are your children going to be able, okay, we're going to get into it in the next conversation, but are your children going to be able to deal with the diversities of today's culture? Number four, financial competence. Better teach your children to make money. They don't teach those things in school. Better teach it. Teach your children to make money. Do you know Do you know where the 21st century money is? Do you know where new money is? Do you know where the new economy is going? I was listening to Unusual TJ last night talking about all of those things about tech. Do you know where the new money is? You know, part of the reasons we had the NSAS crisis in Nigeria, so that was last year, yeah, is because a certain a certain part of our security system don't understand that a young person without a corporate white collar job can have millions in his account. There is a new money somewhere. There is the new economy going on somewhere, and you're busy still forcing your children to go and read medicine, law, and engineering. Nothing bad with that, but teach your children how to make. We have seen very poor in every profession. There are the rich and the poor. So it's not about the profession. There's a way to put yourself in leadership. There's a way to put yourself in slavery. I said it at the beginning of this session that part of the educational system we have is actually grooming slaves. And now we're discussing unemployment at very high rates. And you wonder what happened. We have spent the last 20, 30 years creating people who just know nothing but how to be slaves. They don't know how to think. They don't know how to create things for themselves. If your teenager understands money, he will be wealthy. If a 70-year-old man understands money, he will have money. It has nothing to do with age. There is a way that the rich people think. There is a way to wealth. I talk about the parable of the 10 virgins at some time, and I said, it's possible that you have very good teenagers, virgins, pure people. They don't know nothing. They are fools, but they are good. They are good. When you read the story of the rich man in the Bible and Lazarus, the conventional thinking is, be the Lazarus, make your way to heaven, and all of those things. Teach your children to be a good rich man. There's a lesson in the story of the rich man. There's also a lesson in the story of Lazarus, but that story is a dual street that you can learn from. When you talk about the parable of the talents, there are those who receive the talents. Of course, one of them was very stupid, buried his talent and all of that. There are those who multiply their talents, but there's also the guy who was given talents there. He's also part of the story. I wonder why you were not seeing that part. He's also part of the story, and there is something to learn from him. When will you, or why would you not rather be the one that is given talents? How do you maintain stability in your times? Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times. It is one thing to study law. I meet a lot of talented young people, very talented guys, and I tell them, you see, the difference between the talent is in the business. There is one thing to sing. It's another thing to understand the business of music. It's one thing to write. It's another thing to understand the business of writing. It's one thing to be a doctor. It's another thing to understand the business of medical practice. It's one thing to be a lawyer. It's another thing to understand the business of the legal profession. There's a group of ladies in Lagos who have created their law firm online. I can't remember the name now. I met them at some point. Their law firm is online. So while your lawyer graduate is busy running around the street looking for briefs, those ladies are online writing things for people, contracts, agreements, and all of those things. And you never get to meet them. So, because when I said about the professions, I'm not saying don't ask your children to go and read anything you want them to read. I'm saying teach them where the money of the new economy is. Entrepreneurship, teach them responsibility. You will have a lot of rest as a parent if your teenagers know how to make money. The entrepreneurship talk can also be abused. It's not everybody cannot be a business owner. There's also those that will be the employees, but even the employees must be taught how to think like entrepreneurs, because that's how to make productive employees anyways. If you don't understand how the business you're working for makes money, that's why you are going to be a stupid employee. That's why you're going to be the leakage in the firm. So teach entrepreneurship. Teach. If you're you know what we do. If your child asks you, you bought a new car, for instance, and your son asks you, Daddy, how did you buy the car? The first question that our parents will ask is, do you want to give me the money? Teach him how you got the money to buy a car. Don't ask him, do you want, he doesn't want to give you the money. He wants to know how you got the money to buy a car. And if you don't teach this generation, if you don't teach them how to make good money online, they're going to learn it and they're going to learn the bad one. They're going to learn it and they're going to learn the bad one. So teach entrepreneurship. Teach them how money works. Teach them how money works. Teach them how finances work. Teach social capital. That's the previous thing we're discussing. Teach relationship. Teach relationship. Teach all of these things. It is, if your teenagers know how money is made, they're going to probably reduce the stress on your head. You know, the first time you move out of your parents' house and you started paying house rent, then you appreciate your father more. Or maybe the day you paid your first NEPA bill, then you realize why they were telling you to switch off the lights at home. But you know how they told us those things? They put it as law. It was not explained. It was not taught. They shouted, shout, 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 shout. Stop shouting and start teaching. That is the way to raise kings. That is the way to raise gods. So study whatever you want to study. Encourage your kids to go to school and do everything they want to do, but teach financial intelligence. Teach financial intelligence. There are other sessions that have dealt with this. If you want to know all of the lessons, a group of, I think even LinkedIn released something that I was looking at the end of last year. You know, a new employment all over the world. I saw about 6 million jobs in data analysis alone. Excel. How do you use Excel? As simple as that to make money. And graphics. And like I said, the other sessions have dealt with this. So let's run. Number five is cultural intelligence. And I think this is where my time will permit me to go. Cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence. Does your teenager understand how to relate with people that are of diverse cultures, that are not of their own cultural expression or cultural persuasions? Excuse me. And I was listening to what's his name again? David. Yeah, he came to talk to us about drugs and all of this. How did David, born and brought up in church, dedicated by the bishop himself, get into drugs simply because he traveled abroad? And some parents, you know, even watching me now, part of the reason you are scared of sending your children to certain cultures, maybe to go and further their education, part of the reason you are scared is because you don't know what will happen to them and whether they can sustain the things you have taught them. You have not taught anything. That's why you are afraid. How did Joseph arrive as prime minister and fail in a foreign land in Egypt? Cultural intelligence. How do your children learn to survive in cultures that are diverse from them? You know, you are teaching them only the things they teach in your church. You are teaching them only the way your village people behave. And so they don't know how to relate with cultures across cultures. They don't know how. This is also about environmental competence. You know, I talked about the factors of success and I said knowledge is 10%, discipline, wisdom is 40% thereabout. The major part of your success will be this matter on environment. It's about, there is an environment that makes for success. And even though that environment might not be physically present, are your children able to create that environment for themselves? That guy, Joseph, went into Egypt as a slave. They sold him into slavery. He got there. He went into serving somebody. From serving somebody, he went to prison. From prison, he showed up at the palace. But he did not show up at the palace with a prison mentality. He did not show up at the palace with a slavery mentality. He showed up at the palace with a kingly mentality. And when he finished talking, they handed over the entire nation to him. You know, there is systemic racism. I heard somebody talk about it in this conference. Systemic racism in Europe and America is what we have in Africa and in Nigeria as systemic tribalism. Is what we have in South Africa as xenophobia, and in all of these places. How will your children learn to navigate these times? There is a competency that is required if you're going to flourish even in cultures that are not native to you. The ability to relate with people across cultures, people who are very different from you, the ability to learn A certain ethnic group in Nigeria actually have it as part of their culture. You know, that ability to travel and nationalize and naturalize in a certain environment and flow. As simple as learn people's names. Ah, no, it's not my tribe. Why should I learn how to pronounce that name? English is not my first language. You know, all of those, you are deceiving yourself. You are talking like a slave. Kings will pay the price and learn what they need to learn to be able to flourish in that culture. Moses in the Bible, it was his lack of cultural competence that cost him 40 years. That that liberation he came to do at age 80 was what he thought he was ready to do at age 40. He missed it and it cost him 40 years. Cultural intelligence. Teach your children. Are you raising, when he talks about, there's something she calls global citizenship. Are you raising kids that are global citizens? There are global citizenship skills. There are skills to function in a global economy. There are skills to function at a global level. Stop teaching people to think like whatever it is that you live, you know. So I think my time is up now. I don't know if I still have a few more minutes to
Please,
wrap up. If I do, I can still go forward, you know. But I've
I'll
shared the
take
5 major things I wanted to talk about. Number 6 is spiritual intelligence. That's the 6th one, is spiritual intelligence. Are your children spiritually competent? Or the only thing they know is what they were taught by some leader somewhere? Okay. Spiritual competence. Yes, I was talking about spiritual competence. Ability to hear from God when they will say, is a 21st century skill. And that is no light speech. It's a 21st century skill. Or the only thing you know about God is the thing you read one. You know, we have a very weird concept of daddy in the Lord and all of those things that we say. God does not have grandchildren. Your children are as bona fide children of God as you are. I think I listened to Eden Onwoka, and she was saying the fact that what you are to your children are destiny helpers. You are your children's destiny helpers. You are not their father in the Lord. God does not have grandchildren. They need not. Do you teach your children that they need not go through certain things in order to access the God that they worship? And moreover, just to add that in this decade, as the century proceeds, we're getting into a very godless generation. And if your children are not prepared for that age, something is going to happen. Something is going to happen. So there's such a thing as spiritual intelligence. I talked about thinking, clear thinking, reading your Bible. Do you read it? I was talking to somebody a few days ago and she was asking me a question. I said, your problem is you have not been reading. You have been hearing what other people said. So even when you open the book, instead of reading what the book is saying, you are hearing it in the voice of some other persons that have spoken to you. And that is a very big problem. Are they going to form their own decisions out of the impressions? Are they going to have their own encounters by themselves? Are they going to have their own experiences by themselves? Or they're going to keep copying the experiences that they got from you or that they got from some other place? Spiritual competence. Spiritual competence. Remember, I said knowledge, wisdom will be the stability of your times. The times will keep changing. The cultures will keep changing. New things will keep coming up. But how does your child, how does your teenager retain stability and maintain success and remain a king and remain a god in their generation and remain effective? And they're not tossed to and fro by every wave of doctrine. They're not tossed to and fro by every wave of the things that they hear. They're not tossed to and fro by everything that even you say. They are stable. They are stable. They are able to navigate their times. Number 7 is political intelligence, political competence. I wouldn't dwell much here, but yes, The kings of this world will rather make slaves of the rest of the people than teach them how to be kings in themselves. There is such a thing as political intelligence. Do you know, or have you taught your kids that the different media houses that we have all have political representations? And so that the things you hear as news is not always as it is. Be careful how you and your kids relate to news. Teach them. There's one now that has been helping people to create enemies amongst themselves. It came up on social media sometime last week. The supermarket in Abuja that caught fire, and then the interview of the 9-year-old, and people have been quarreling. Guys, calm down, calm down. There is an intelligence. You must not contribute to every news. Oh. You must not contribute. Because that person that is writing, how sure are you of his affiliations and why he's writing, of his persuasions and why he's saying? I said I will not dwell so much on this matter of political competence, but it's a very serious issue because the youth, there is a system that ensures that there is a constant supply of people that we feed these systems. We're talking about spiritual competence. I tell my teenagers, be careful how you take counsel from people. And the counsel that they're giving you is based on their experiences. The counsel is not based on principle. It's based on what happened to them. I did business number 1, it did not work. I did another business number 2, it did not work. And that's how I know that God is calling me. Get out of that church. That's how you know. That's how you find 419ers in the spirit. God does not call failures. Spiritual intelligence. Your children know how to discern the things that they hear. And this cuts across all of the other things that we have discussed, from intellectual to social to emotional. Pause and think is something you will find in most of your texts. Selah, when you hear something, when you see something, pause and think. Where is this person coming from? What is he trying to say? Don't be quick to argue. Don't be quick to share your opinion. Your opinion is not going to make any difference anyways. Someone sends you a 25-minute video on WhatsApp and say, what do you think about this? Are you serious? I'm going to spend the next 25 minutes of my time to watch a video just to tell you what I think? I'm not going to do that. Tell your kings. If you are raising kings, like I said in the beginning, that the things I'm saying not apply to everybody, and that's okay. But if you are raising kings and if you are raising gods, teach them how to discern the times and the seasons that they live in. Teach them how to discern the times and the seasons that they are living. I think my time is up, so this is where I want to call it a wrap. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for your time.
Oh
I will
my
take
God.
questions now.
Mr. Chizozie, you have shattered tables here. You have broken tables. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. This has been an amazing session. One of the things that struck me, I don't want to raise children that are pure and foolish. Hey! I don't want to raise children that are pure and yet foolish. No, 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 no. We are raising God. Mr. Chidozie, I have just been like, oh my God. When you are sober, you are shouting, you are like, you are, I don't know. You see, to get people like this, you cannot access them. He's already telling you he's a God. Now he's here. Coach Wendy has made it possible for him to be here. So, don't be selfish. Please share this link, share it on all social media platforms. More parents need to hear this. God does not have grandchildren. More parents need to hear this. Please share and share and share. And that's the reason why when we say come and join the inner circle, you are still sitting down there pressing calculator. Come and join the inner circle. You will have access to more words of wisdom like this on a per minute basis. Can you imagine who you will be at the end of the year? No, Mr. Chizozie, I much respect for you. You have done, in fact, I am like, God, where do I even want to start from? In my writings, where do I want to start from? Is it emotional competence? Is it social competence? Where do I want to start from? So much value. Thank you so much for coming. I want us to quickly
Thank
listen to
you.
a testimonial from the inner circle program. Please, if you have questions while the video is playing, put up your questions so that as soon as the video finishes playing, we can answer your questions. Like I said, you cannot see Mr. Chidozie casually. He is not here. So if you have your questions, please put it up here and he can quickly answer it. Let's quickly listen to the testimonial for the inner circle program.
Hello, my name is Ikalo, a member of the inner circle of TIP, that is the Intentional Parenting Academy. You are welcome. So I have been a member of this inner circle since January 2021, and it has been an amazing time here. I've been learning a lot from various resources that Wendy has shared with us. The books have been fantastic, and the people, the most exciting part about being a member of this inner circle is the people on the group, people like myself who are on this journey to be better mothers, fathers are here, and we're just asking the right questions and getting responses. Fantastic. Hope to see you 2022.
Hope to see you 2022. I just want to say thank you and God bless you to Coach Wendy. She has made, when they say I was blind, but now I can see. But guess what? In the Bible, there are some people that were still seeing men as trees. So it might be possible that you are seeing men as trees, but when you join the inner circle program, your eyes will be open. Your eyes will be open. Please and please register for the inner circle program. As a matter of fact, if you truly want to join the inner circle program, but you cannot afford it, send me a DM and tell me why. I will pay. I have one slot. One slot. I can only do one slot. So send me a DM. I will pay for you because this is too much value. The least thank you we can give Coach Wendy is to join that inner circle program and let the results and the fruits start to show. Mr. Chidozie has said it all. We are raising gods. We are raising kings, and there is a way to hey, I feel like blowing tongues here. There is a way that kings behave. It's not every quarrel you take to social media. Mothers, are you hearing it? It's not every quarrel you go and settle on social media. So I want to check the comment section quickly. I haven't seen any questions. Does it mean that we're all good? No questions. Coach Wendy, hey, this one is Igbo people will say Italy, flogging. Hey.
Well done, Chiedozie. There's something Chiedo is off the screen, but he's going to come back. His network is a bit off the screen. But Chiedozie is one of the TIP coaches, and he was in the session with the parents in the inner circle. He was the last person who did a webinar in the inner circle last month. When he was done, we were sober for 4 days.
Honestly, I can imagine. I know. I am sober as I sit. I am sober.
Play the video again. Play the video again. I called him. He's somebody that I mentor, and I called him and I said, "What did you do? What exactly did you do in that session in the inner circle?" And it was quite. It was something else. By the time he was done,
That's why the parents in the inner circle know him. That's why he was healing the others. Every other here would confirm and attest to how Chedose delivers. Chedose delivers
Wow.
like a king. That's
Wow.
the word.
Wow.
And to
Wow.
say that I'm proud is an understatement.
No, you should be
Chedose
proud.
is here. I am proud of you. Thank you
You
for
should
bringing
be.
the again and again to this class. It was just awesome. There was something Chedose said when he was, speaking. He said something about Moses.
Mm,
A lot of people
mm,
have, linked teaching to Moses. There's a lot to learn from the prophet Moses. I call him the
mm,
greatest businessman that lived
mm,
on earth. I'm going to
mm,
share that on Friday, a bit of my insight about Moses. And,
mm,
he said that Moses lost 40 years,
mm.
because of lack of this cultural intelligence. And, while
Yes.
he was speaking, the truth of the matter is that Moses didn't just lose 40 years to be able to deliver his vision.
Hmm.
Moses made a whole nation lose 40 years.
Mm,
Go and read your Bible. The prophecy actually said the years that were prophesied, it had to add 40 years extra because
mm,
of somebody who couldn't carry on with the mandate. Let
mm,
us be careful what we read, how we read it.
mm. Spiritual
Every time.
competence.
Spiritual competence. I was sharing,
Mm,
that's what he was referring to. I have
mm,
said before to parents that the ability for your child to hear from God is a valid
mm.
21st century skill. Valid.
Exactly.
Valid to
Exactly.
the end. It's not
Mm,
wokeness. It's not
mm,
anything. It is valid to the end. And a
mm,
lot of the
mm,
times, we don't even get these things. We don't even understand it.
mm,
We're reading the Bible. We're not the things we're reading in the Bible. Are we asking ourselves questions? What we are reading, are these
mm,
people, what did they read? Chedose said that in
mm,
his, what did they read?
mm,
They didn't read anything they heard from God.
mm,
So when people tell me all you need to be able to, do everything in life is to read the Bible, you lie to yourself. That's not
mm,
all you need. You need
mm,
much more than that. You need your
mm.
connectivity to the supernatural. You
Yes.
need your
Yes.
connectivity to find God. You need your
Yes.
connectivity to be able to hear from God. They are not the same.
Yes. Yes.
So if
Mm,
you can hear from God, Moses heard from God. That's why Moses
mm,
was able to actually deliver on the vision that he was given.
mm,
Moses was a man who spoke to God, who heard from God directly.
mm,
How
mm,
many of us can really hear what it is? Okay, Coach Chedoze is back.
mm,
How many of us can really hear exactly what it is that God is
mm,
saying? Or are you just, you share some things on social media, people come and tell you, oh, that's not what the Bible said. Oh, the Bible said we should. Oh, did you read the Bible? And I'm asking, what did God tell you? Is God speaking to you at all? The Bible is very valid. It's a book that we all need. Again, the Bible should teach us that we also need to be able to hear our own God. I like the way my pastor puts it. He says, when you say that the Bible is the only thing that we need to survive spiritually, it means that you're saying that God is a liar. Because
mm,
God is still speaking to men in the today.
mm,
So
mm,
are you saying that men should not say the things that God is speaking to them?
mm.
So we need to, you see this whole religious, it's spiritual quotient, not religious quotient. They're not the same.
Yes, yeah, I do agree with you, Coach Wendy,
Mm.
because so many times people don't even read. We quote out
Mm-mm.
of what people have said. So the
Exactly.
Bible says, based on what the person has said, not that they open the Bible to read,
Uh-uh.
So Coach Chidozie has finished everything. Yeah, it's a
Chedozie,
lie. Let's just let's share
Chedozie,
grace.
let's share the grace and be going back.
No, let's take offering first.
Let's
Let's
take
take
first,
offering.
I think I
Ah,
agree.
Coach Wendy, I
All
hope you
right.
don't mind. I hope you don't mind. I did a giveaway. I said for anybody that
Okay.
sincerely needs to join the Inner Circle program for next year and cannot afford it, I am willing to sponsor one person because I mean,
Oh,
look
wow.
at look at value. I said we are seeing men like
Oh,
trees, but we
wow.
need to see men well.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes, yes.
yes, so
Mm.
anybody who, if you feel you cannot be sincere, it's just one slot. I can't do just one slot.
Please don't send me a DM. It's something I don't really go, because I know that a lot of people are going to come to me and say, "Oh, I heard one of your team members send to her directly." She will be the judge of
Yes, I'll be
whatever
the
it
judge.
is. She will be the
I'll
judge.
be
Thank you
the
so
judge.
much, Toyin. I remember that 2 years ago, a particular parent paid for 6 people when she came into the inner circle after 4 months. And
Honestly.
she said to me, I wish I can pay for everybody that I know.
Mm.
But because I can't, let me pay for the few people that I know.
Coach Wendy, I'm
There's a lot.
practicing financial competence. I'm sowing seed. You understand? So if you are there, practice. I'm sowing seed. You better. This is a good ground, fertile ground, fertile
Somebody,
ground.
somebody, somebody said, "This is blazing fire. Where have I been all my life? I've never heard things like this." All
God
righty.
bless
All
you.
right.
God bless you, Coach
I
Wendy.
can't see any question in the comment section. If this
Yes,
session was eye-opening for you, it was
yes,
something you enjoyed, like Tony said, share it to
mm,
anybody who cared to listen. And
yes,
most importantly, in that comment section, share the fire emojis to our coach.
mm,
But most
mm,
importantly, also, let me also say this: there's also a lot that you can learn from these people. Now,
mm,
this is not a matter of, these things, we know what are doing and all of that and all of that. There's a lot more. So I would
mm,
urge you to follow Shea Dozier right
mm,
on Instagram. He's on Instagram as check the chat. You will see at Teen Success Academy. Teen Success Academy. That's where he is on Instagram. Please follow him. He has a lot of, you don't want to know the kind of insight. I told you that he's somebody that I mentor. So, of course, his insight sometimes I'm scared when I sit down with him. So, yes, he's a young man that I'm proud of anytime, any day. Follow him on social media. And there's even something amazing that he does, every year. He calls it Tribe. You can also follow him on the Uncle D, but his main handle is the Teen Success Academy. All right. He calls it Tribe. He has a mentoring system for young men. Of course, don't tell me what I have done later on in life with my son. I'm cutting you soap. This is Chedozie, the one that is going to help me helping my son. I'm cutting you soap now. See the soap. Take the soap. Shebi, you say I should cut you soap. Ngwa, that's the soap. Follow who know roads. Follow who sabi. Follow who can help you.
we
Parenting
are
is about
following. We
parenting
are
is
already
about
following.
the systems that you create. The systems that you
You
create.
know,
All
they,
right.
they
You
say
can't be
picking will go spoil, go spoil. They don't know anything.
eh,
That is
Ah,
talk for
eh.
slaves.
stop.
Talk for
Hey,
slaves.
yeah,
Hey,
for
Lord.
slaves.
Oh.
Talk for slaves.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So JDJ has this Thrive event for young people. You want to be there. My son is going to be there. I've already told you that this is that one person that, of course, is also in my circle, and we're also on the journey together. All right. And it's you can get into the Thrive mentorship program. Is online. I'm going to share all the details of the Tribe Mentorship Program on our Telegram channel. You can follow him and get the details right there. I don't know if Coach doesn't want to say something about the Tribe Mentoring Bootcamp.
Oh yes, that boot camp is opening on Saturday, this Saturday actually, because the courses will start running from Monday all through the month of August. So I think anybody that wants to register has between now and midnight to register, because by tomorrow we'll be out of there. And we're looking at the reason why we call it 360 Successful Camp is all of what we have discussed here is there's that thing about, there's a scripture, permit me again, I always open the Bible, but not for religious purposes. It says Ephraim is like a cake burnt on one side. So there's a possibility that you are raising a child burnt on one side because you are focused on the things that you think are priority. But we want to do 360. We want to help young people to become successful in every facet of their life. And that's what we're doing in the month of August. You have between now and, I know, the end of today to register. So yes.
Alrighty, awesome. So you have between now and the end of today to register your things. I'm going to share the details on our Telegram channel. You will find it. And there was something that Chedose shared earlier about the streets of Ashkelon. Where David told them, "Do not go and speak." You think everything is about wokeness, Abi? Continue being woke. Somebody came to me and asked me, "Oh, the child that burnt a banner. You've not said anything." I said, "Kings don't throw themselves on the
Kings
mud.
don't talk like that.
Kings do not throw themselves in the mud." If you've never heard it, I hear it today. It's not everything. You don't fight. You don't fight to finish. You fight strategically with your brain. That's how you fight. You don't go on social media and spew anything and say anything and just judge any matter. You need to understand that some things are not given to kings, and it is a choice. It's a choice. The kingly tribe, like I always tell every of my mentees, the kingly tribe is a choice. You choose to live like that. People come to me and say, "Why is it that people talk to you on social media, you don't respond to them with the most responses or go off on them?" I said, because kings play on a different line. When slaves play on a different line. I can't bring myself. How do you feel if you see the Oni of Ife fighting with Aberos on the road? How does that look? Just think about it. Really, just think about it. All right. Thank you so much. Someone is asking, how is the payment for the inner circle done? Okay, so let me say this. Let me do a little breakdown of the inner circle. You get into the inner circle, and the first year is in levels. So every year, a lot determines whether you go to the next level or not. But that's not a conversation for here. When you get into the inner circle, you get in and you understand the intricacies, right? And it's a yearly annual membership system. But the interesting thing about the inner circle, somebody did we had about 80 parents in the first year, about 100 parents in the first year. Every one single parent remained in the inner circle. When you find value, you don't go away, right? And apart from that, we grew from about that 80 to 100 to over 700 as at today. So don't kid yourself. People are running and people are putting in work in their parenting journey. If this is about, "Oh, I don't have money. Oh, how am I going to do it?" and all of that, well, it's all about choices. All of us are also not going to raise kings also. It's also something that I've come to realize, right? Some people will need to serve the kings. My father said something
The
to me
poor
about
you will always have with you.
Exactly. That's what the Bible said. In fact, my father quotes that scripture every time. So never be, wary about people, slaves and all. There would always be people who would serve kings in a generation. So you need to make a choice. So it's not a whether you can or you cannot and all of that. These are choices that we make. And there's something Chedeze said also. He said kings go to a place, learn the culture painstakingly, learn the culture of the environment to be able to transform. And when you shared about Joseph going to Egypt, oh my goodness, and being able to thrive in Egypt, that was the height of cultural intelligence, the height of it. It was a lot of lesson for me. Thank you so much again, Chedozie Eze. Thank you,
Thank
Oluwatoyin
you, man.
Ogo. It's interesting to have people that you work with at the back end, real life. So I have two people that I'm also mentoring. I'm proud. Thank you so much for being here. I can't say thank you enough. You guys know that I love you so much. Please remember to follow Chiedozie on his Instagram handle. And remember to also follow Oluwatoyin Obo. She's also a parent coach. She's a just John Maxwell certified parent coach as well. So we don't, even the people who is telling you hello in TIP, we have value to give you. All right. So it's not like we're just coming here to just rattle you and all of that. Chedozie, any last words as we begin to round up to enter the next session at 4:30 p.m.?
Okay, let me just say what I said lastly, that the poor you will always have with you, but they did not write your name there. They did not
My
say
name is not
you should
written
be
there.
the poor.
My child's name is
Also,
not written there.
your teenager's name are not written there, but it's about choices. It's about choices. There is also a competence that helps young people to make choices. And I encourage every one of us to make the right choices and choose to be a king, but also choose to make the sacrifices that kings make. That will be my last one. Thank you very much, Coach Wendy. It's been an honor coming on this show. Thank you.
Thank you so much again. Oluwatoyin Ebo, Coach Oluwatoyin, what do you have for parents this evening?
Okay, just like Coach Chidozie has said everything. And I want to encourage parents, the sky is big enough. But like they said, it's a choice. Will your child be the king or will your child be the slave? It is what you do today that determines tomorrow. And that's why we say parenting today for tomorrow. It is the actions and everything you do, all what we've heard. Don't have knowledge constipation, put it into practice, please and please share your feedback to Coach Wendy. When you see good results, send her a message to encourage her to keep on going. Like I said, this is a parenting revival, so you either get on the train or you stay behind. As for me and my teenagers, we shall be kings and God. I don't know about you. We shall be kings and God. I have cast it in stone today. No. So please make that decision too.
Thank you so much, Coach Oluwatoyin Obo. And thank you so much, Coach Chiedozie Eze. Thank you to
Thank you,
two
Coach Wendy.
amazing, awesome people in my life. I don't take it for granted that you guys took out your time to be here. Catch us again at exactly 4:30 with Coach Ngozi Wowe. Hey, trust me, we don't give you anything less. We bring you value. And don't forget to join the inner circle. Before we tell you that the slots are gone, it happened this year. It's going to happen soon again for the people who are waiting for 2022. Trust me, it wasn't funny when it happened this year. We had hundreds of people on our waiting list and we couldn't take them. There was nothing we could actually do. Thank you so much and see you in a few minutes.
Hello, my name is Ikalo, a member of the inner circle of TIP, that is the Intentional Parenting Academy. You are welcome. So I have been a member of this inner circle since January 2021, and it has been an amazing time here. I've been learning a lot from various resources that Wendy has shared with us. The books have been fantastic, and the people, the most exciting part about being a member of this inner circle is the people on the group, people like myself who are on this journey to be better mothers, fathers are here, and we're just asking the right questions and getting responses. Fantastic. Hope to see you 2022.